Hey, good morning everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having an amazing day, amazing night, whenever you're watching this. We're gonna go over my top baits for the month of January. Some of these are gonna be your more typical ones that you see on a lot of other channels. Some of them are gonna be some that are my own personal preference, and then some are gonna be picked out by our Lake Pros. And if you don't know about our Lake Pro program, guys, we have free fishing reports on the website, lakeprotackle.com. We're looking to expand. You know, we're based out of Texas here, and we've got a bunch of Texas lakes. If you're around any part of the country and you can get us fishing reports for a certain lake, maybe you fish it pretty often, at least twice a month, we would love to have you on the team. You can save up to 30% off on your purchases. And guys, for everyone, $50 purchases and more are gonna qualify for free shipping. That includes the rods, reels, and tackle. And you know, guys, we've got a huge selection of all that. So head online, lakeprotackle.com, check all that out. Look at our fishing reports. And if you're interested and you can get us some, sign up to be a Lake Pro today. Before we get into the baits here, my top picks for January, just a quick announcement. We've got a reload on a bunch of different reels. Shimano sent us a little package here. We reloaded on the SLX XTs. This is 150 size, great price point at $129.99. And then we also got some higher end reels. We've got a reload of the Aldebaran MGL and the Metanium DC. So we're looking forward to y'all ordering some of those. Already sold a couple Metanium DCs since they came in a couple days ago. So super awesome reel. Metanium DC, I will remind you, has DC5 technology in it. So DC5 is going to be a lot stronger than DC4, which is what you find in the Corrado DC and the SLX DC. So the Metanium DC is on a whole nother level, and that justifies the price point right there. So we're going to go ahead and hop into my favorite baits of the month of July. I've got a couple different ones here. I've got 6 different baits, and we're going to talk about a bunch of techniques. I cover all the water columns, and I want to make sure that you understand kind of how I'm throwing these and why I'm throwing these. So kicking it off, my top producer in the month of January has to be an Alabama rig, and I put out a deep dive video on Alabama rigs on the channel here. So I'm gonna link it down below, as well as probably put a card somewhere in this corner or this corner where you can go watch it, where I deep dive into Alabama rigs, how I like to set them up, and how you can fish them differently, and with what attachments and blades, no blades, all this other stuff. So go check that video out. The Alabama rig, you can cover the top of the water column, you can cover the bottom of the water column. It's very adjustable. It's this one here in Texas, we can have 5 hooks on it, so you can have 5 different jig heads. Mess with the sizes, you can fish it at the top of the water column with super light jig heads like 1/8 ounce, or you can sink it down with heavier jig heads. Let's say you put 1/2 ounce or something on here and you fish the bottom of the water column. So it's an amazing bait any time of the year, but especially when that water gets cold, those fish suspend, and they're really looking for just a big, slow moving pack of bait. The A-rig is gonna be my #1 choice going into January. I've caught a 9-pounder already this year. I've caught a couple 7s this year. So we're doing really well on the Alabama rig right now. And if you want, again, if you want to go watch that video, go watch it. Super amazing video. I'm not forcing you to. It's on the channel. You can find it. But next up, we're going to talk about another moving bait here. And this one is another typical one. Everyone's going to say jerk bait. My #1 choice, guys, is going to be the Megabass Vision 110 +1 version. And the +1, you can get it down to around 6-7 foot depending on your line, but you can also fish it higher up in the water column if they want to feed upwards. A lot of the time you're going to find in January those fish are going to be stuck down to the bottom really hard, or they're going to be suspended. So there's really a mix of 2 types of fish that you're fishing for with this. You know, if you're in shallower water around, let's call shallow water around 10 foot, generally I find them on the bottom. If you're fishing anywhere above 10 foot, let's say 20 foot, you're gonna find them usually suspended at that 7 to 10 foot range. And that's kind of just where they cruise throughout the winter months. So this Vision 110 +1 allows you to cover both depth ranges really easily, depending on your line size, your cadence, as well as if you change the hooks out. You know, I will change hooks out if I am finding fish relating to that bottom of the water column. And, you know, I'll put on Berkeley Fusions, maybe even the Gamakatsus. Depending on which one you want, it's gonna weight it a whole lot differently. It doesn't affect the action too much. You will lose a little action if you go too high in weight, but generally, stock hooks, plenty fine for me. I'm fighting these fish on around 10-pound test. And this is one of my favorite colors here. This is the, I believe it's the Eggly Bone. It's got a little chartreuse bottom, pretty clear sides with a purple top. Great clear water color. If you're in dirtier water, I'll suggest something like the Wakasaki or even just Tennessee shad. Those will do just fine. But if you're fishing really clear water like I am, this Eggly Bone is going to be a great one in the wintertime. Next up, we're going to go on to another one. This is the Shad Wrap by Rapala. Now, this one is an amazing bait just to get bit on any time of the year. It's a great shad pattern, and this is the size 6. So this is a Shad Wrap 6. If you're really finding that your bait fish in the wintertime where you're fishing are a lot smaller, go down to a 5, maybe even a 4, and you might get more success with those. For me, I'm trying to key in on a little bit bigger bait fish. This SR6 is a good size. This one right here, I'm trying to see how long this one is. I don't know if it says on the box exactly how long it is, but it's about a fingerling size. Take my index finger, it's about that size. It's a great imitation of bait. It looks exactly like a bait fish, and you can fish this extremely slow. You can slow roll it down to the depth you want it and just give it little twitches, little reels here and there. And one of my favorite cadences is just gonna reel it very slowly across the bottom and just twitch, twitch, and just kill it for about 5 to 10 seconds. Start it up again, twitch, twitch, and kill it. And a lot of those will come, a lot of the fish will come and eat your bait on that pause. And then right as soon as you start reeling again, they're gonna go grab it. This Shad Wrap by Rapala is gonna be an amazing bait in January, February, and really any time of the year. You just have to match the cadence to what they want. Next up, we're gonna talk about another moving bait. And this one right here, I've had a lot of success on. This is gonna be a really cool one. This is the Underspins. We've got 2 different ones. I couldn't decide which one I wanted to put in the video here, so I just chose both. This is the Picasso Lures Underspin. It's got a clear arm that suspends that blade and allows it to look more like an underspin. It comes with a replacement blade as well, so that's really cool. And having it clear, I'm not sure if it makes too much of a difference. It's just an option, something different that the fish don't see all the time. Next up is gonna be the 6 Sense Underspin. This is the Divine Underspin. Pairs very well with their Divine Swim Bait. I have a lot of success on those Divine Swim Baits, especially in the wintertime. They don't kick super hard, but they do kick a lot. So this guy right here has a little bit bigger blade than the Picasso. Generally, when I'm winter fishing in really, really cold temperatures, I'm gonna try to downsize that blade as much as possible. So keep that in mind. You know, here in Texas, our water temps are only in the 50s, you know, maybe high 40s, low 50s. So getting away with this 6 Sense Divine Underspin might be better for me since the water temps are a little bit warmer. If you're fishing really, really cold water, maybe in the low 40s, I would go with the Picasso. It's got a little bit smaller blade, doesn't thump as hard, and doesn't put off as much action as the 6 Sense one. So keep that in mind. Moving on, we're gonna talk about some soft baits here. Gotta have a Ned rig when it gets cold. The Z-Man Finesse TRDs are gonna be my go-to. You can match this on a variety of different Ned heads. The Z-Man ones work perfectly fine. And you know, if you don't know about the Z-Man Elastec technology, guys, you can stretch these baits out super, super far. They've got salt in them, and you're not gonna rip these. You super glue it to the head and the hook. I mean, you've got a bait that'll last the entire winter, like the entire year if you take care of it. So come in a pack of 8, I believe. Yep, pack of 8, 2.75 inches, great bait fish pattern. My favorite color right now is the deal. It's got a little bluish hue, a little green pumpkin, and a bunch of pearl at the bottom. So a great bait fish imitator. And you know, all these are gonna mimic bait fish, except for the last one here, because that's what the bass are eating, you know. I'm finding a lot of my fish are gonna be moving around balls of bait, and the ones that I do catch are super, super fat. You know, they feed up in the fall time, and they don't really stop feeding up. They just feed up slower in the winter time. So my last bait is gonna be a Baby Rage Menace by Strike King. This one here is in the hard candy color. It's gonna be very similar to like a watermelon candy. Hard candy is just a little bit darker, just a hair bit. You know, water clarity in the wintertime can vary a lot. A lot of the time, right after turnover in fall, it's a little dirtier, and I'll go to something like a green pumpkin. Now that that water is starting to clear up here in Texas, I'm gonna go with somewhere in the middle between watermelon candy and green pumpkin, which is hard candy. So this guy right here It's a great little craw imitation, and you know, the craws right now aren't red. They're gonna be, you know, red's gonna be playing here in a couple months, maybe March, late February. But for now, this guy right here is gonna be a great imitator of just a grub, anything on the bottom. You know, curly tail worms will come out little post-March for me. So that baby Rage Menace is a great imitation for anything on the bottom that you might want to drag around. Simple Texas rig is great. You can Carolina rig it. The little tails on that Rage Menace, that baby Rage Menace, they kick a whole lot when you're dragging it at lower speeds. So bear that in mind. You don't want to have too much action or it rises up a little too much for me. That's just what I've noticed. I've done a lot of testing in my pool, and just super slow drag with that Rage Menace is what gets it done for me on and off the lakes. So I hope you enjoyed my top picks for January. Guys, if you have any questions or have your own top picks and you want to leave them down in the comments, go do that. I want to see what your top picks are for January. But guys, thank you for watching this video. We will catch you next time at Lake Pro Tackle.